Hello and welcome to Lancaster Safety's webinar on how to have a successful safety management program on a small business budget. We know that small businesses sometimes find it difficult to provide a sufficient safety program for multiple reasons. Some business owners aren't sure what OSHA is or if OSHA's laws apply to them. Other organizations know they need a safety program, but they're just not sure where to start. And most companies want to make sure they're spending the right investment for their needs before proceeding. As a nationwide safety and health consulting firm, we have companies calling us and asking for guidance on all of these questions. Today, I'm joined by two of our team's representatives who have devoted their careers to finding the right safety program elements for hundreds of businesses for a combined 25 years of experience. So Nick, Jeff, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you, Emily. Great to be here.
So let's get started by quickly going over our agenda.
Today, we're going to discover how companies with 10 to 100 employees in high-risk industries can stay safe and financially sound, how safety risks affect your business. We're going to learn fundamental OSHA requirements. We'll use the 1% of payroll rule that we found works successfully for our customers for safety management. We'll help build a plan to leverage 6 actions to save on safety. And finally, as a special bonus, we'll introduce you to our system on how to manage safety like a boss. It's no secret running a small business is really hard. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, most businesses do not survive over the long term, with half of all new businesses failing within 5 years. And the overwhelming reason, again, no surprise here, is cash flow, not enough revenue to cover their costs. So as we all know very well, every single expense can make or break a small business. And one expense that could dwarf all others is a work-related accident. Just one accident could be enough to crush your business and create a hole you might never climb out of. In the example here, based on OSHA's injury calculator, an accident that results in an amputation could cost nearly $200,000 for both the direct and indirect costs. And just a side note, direct costs are your medical bills, your downtime, the equipment loss, anything that directly occurs around the accident. Indirect costs, they go far beyond that and sometimes are even greater. They occur after the accident and include things like OSHA fines, legal bills, increases in workers' comp rates, training new employees, etc. So with all the costs accounted for, a company that had 10% gross margins would need to generate nearly $2 million in revenue just to cover this one accident. So think about that. How long would your business need to work to generate a couple of million in revenue? That could easily be 1 to 2 years of working for free.
But what if you have smart people and you're a smart business leader? Does that mean your chances of an accident are low?
Well, probably not. If you consider yourself smart, then you probably already have a general sense of how risk works. You know, a small risk done enough times is actually a big risk. And it has to do with a basic mathematical law called the law of large numbers. It basically says if something can happen, it will happen eventually. So let's translate that into a real world example. So suppose you have a business, you have a machine or process that has a low 1 in 1 million chance of causing an injury per cycle. You have a business with 100 employees, each doing this work 100 times a day all year. So your 100 employees times 100 work cycles times 261 business days in a year give you about 3 million work cycles per year. So that 1 in 1 million injury rate means 3 injuries per year for your business. And as we saw in a prior slide, that could prove catastrophic for any business.
We assumed that most people attending this webinar would know that they need to comply with OSHA rules and regulations. However, we felt this was an important point to make. Many business owners are unsure if they need to provide a safety program to all employees or just the ones that do more dangerous work. So Nick, can you chime in here and give some guidance to these companies?
Absolutely, and great question, Emily. OSHA laws actually apply to the vast majority of companies. If you have at least one employee, are not in the farming industry, only employing immediate family members, are not operating under another federal agency, or are not a state or local government, certain OSHA laws will apply. Business owners are responsible for the safety of their employees.
That sounds simple enough, but we know it's not. So I'll share this graphic chart in the chat with you, and we'll also share it in an email as well. So what are the requirements that OSHA has for businesses? 1, provide a workplace free from serious recognized hazards. 2, stay in compliance with OSHA laws. And 3, examine workplace conditions to ensure compliance and proactively eliminate hazards.
Yeah, just to add here, part of Lancaster Safety's approach is to stress the importance of creating a great safety culture at your workplace. As a business owner, you don't want anyone to get hurt. You want to comply with the law, and you also want to minimize expenses while maximizing profits. So a successful safety program can do that, and LSCI can show you how. So what exactly is a safety management program, you might think? In short, it is your system to be safe. It's not PPE, it's not your engineering controls, which obviously you should first employ, but it's the system. It's the policies, the procedures that your company uses to reduce safety risks. Said another way, your safety management program is how you implement the safety risk control pyramid. Nick, you've helped hundreds of clients develop their safety management program. Can you give more detail on the key components?
Absolutely. There are 5 key components when it comes to a safety management program listed here on the screen. Obviously, safety culture and expectations and your safety committee are going to be, one of the most core pillars. Getting people to buy into your safety program. This should not be speaking at people, but speaking with your employees, trying to get involvement from your employees and the various related entities dealing with your company. It is important that everybody's on board because at the end of the day, you're trying to protect your employees, so they need to be involved. Hazard assessments, this is done both through like your PPE hazard assessment and determining which PPE should be utilized, but also physically assessing your facility and the work zones of your employees and making sure adequate controls are put in place. Written safety health programs and policies. Keyword here would be policies. These should be usable, actionable documents that your employees can actually open up, read through, and apply to their day-to-day work. It's very important that you don't leave things to assume that people know what they're supposed to do in certain situations or how to react to certain hazards, but it is explicitly spelled out. Training on those policies. When we talk about OSHA training, it's not so much about the generic safety trainings, but actually informing and educating your employees on the particular policies as they apply to their job scopes and work zones, and making sure that they know how to mitigate hazards as they encounter them. And then record keeping, accident and injury evaluations. So making sure that you're properly tracking any incidents or accidents through various forms such as your 300 logs, and making sure that you're evaluating those accidents. Accidents, unfortunately, are something that do periodically happen, but it's important that we learn from our mistakes and we improve upon our program to correct for those accidents that we've had and keep people safer in the future.
So safety management has a lot of components to it, as you just illustrated, and complicated things typically are expensive. And as we discussed earlier, every expense for a small business can be detrimental. So let's acknowledge something. Each one of us is definitely a priceless human being, perhaps a mother, father, sister or brother, aunt or uncle, as well as someone's friend. And we all deal with risk every day. Each of us are priceless, but we still get into a car, something which 40,000 people a year will die doing. So as business leaders, we must make tough but sensible decisions on how much we do and how much we spend on safety.
That's a great point, Jeff. Everyone wants to be a good person. They want to protect their teams, but there's no perfect business that is 100% safe. So Nick, how should small business leaders budget for safety program expenses?
That is one of the top questions we get from new clients coming on board. Often, gauging your budget and knowing where that should be can be difficult if you've never formulated a safety budget in the past. We find the 1% rule is a great guiding light or a North Star for companies to utilize. Cost will depend obviously on your unique situation, your unique fingerprint situation, employees, industry, the equipment that's involved. There's a variety of factors that are going to go into this. But a good rule of thumb we have seen over the last 20 years in businesses with 10 to 100 employees should be to allocate 1% of payroll towards the cost of your safety management program. This slide overviews a standard small business. We have a small company here with 24 employees. Let's assume that They make on average about the median income in the United States of America, which is about $50,000 a year. That would put their payroll somewhere in the area of about $1.2 million annually. Using the 1% rule of thumb, we would advise to budget about $12,000 annually towards their safety program.
Okay, so 1% of payroll, that's pretty easy to remember. But even 1% of payroll is a big expense. So are there ways to reduce your costs and then maximize your safety budget?
Certainly. Smart, effective safety management is going to be critical to maximizing that budget. Things like, building the right safety organization, using DIY resources. Most companies will have in place, internal resources, whether it be someone who's worked in safety in the past, whether it be resources available through maybe your payroll company, workman's comp, or other affiliated businesses. If you're starting with the means that are already at your disposal is a great way to really stretch that safety budget and make sure you're maximizing it. Using the right training, whether it's be on-site, online, LMS, or other training functions, choosing what would be the most appropriate and effective for your company so that you're able to get that message across while minimizing downtime can certainly be another great way to make sure that you're getting maximum value from that safety budget. Get employees buy-in. As previously stated, this is supposed to be something that they're actively engaging with and they're actively participating in. So making sure that your employees are actively participating in your safety program can definitely make sure that those dollars aren't wasted. Get a free consultation. OSHA in most states offers confidential consultations where they'll come through, do evaluations, and help you to understand exactly what is needed for your particular organization. These consultations won't necessarily get this done for you, but at least let you know kind of where you stand and what actions would be most beneficial to moving your safety program forward. Earning state workers' comp discounts. Various states, our home state, Pennsylvania, offers a 5% reduction on your workman's comp simply for having a safety committee that is properly run in accordance with the state parameters. So we would definitely recommend checking out state-to-state options. Become an OSHA VPP member. This will definitely help enhance your safety program, and I think we're going to talk a little bit more about that one later.
Wow, that was a lot of great information, a lot of good tips. So let's go ahead and go through each one in detail just so everyone knows how to fully leverage these savings.
So the first one that Nick mentioned is how do we build a cost-effective safety organization? Probably one of the most valuable things to start with, because after all, who is responsible for safety at your organization? Who's going to lead it? Who's going to guide it? Who's going to make sure that you've got the right policies and team in place? So as we think about it, there's really 3 different models you can choose from, as well as a hybrid approach. So your DIY would be maybe a business leader, yourself, for example. You're doing all of this yourself. Now, this is cheap, can be fast, but you need to ask yourself, do you have the time? And most importantly, do you have the expertise to actually go do this? A lot of the times the answer is going to be no. So the next option you could look at is building up an in-house team. So this would be hiring specific people, safety manager, safety officer, folks like that. Now, the great thing with this is you're going to absolutely get extra bandwidth. You're going to get the right expertise, and they're going to have knowledge of your business as well because they are part of your team. But what are the drawbacks? Generally speaking, this is probably the most expensive because you're now onboarding specific people. You have their full payroll cost and benefits and all that. And if you really want good talent, you're going to have to pay top dollar. So this can be the most expensive method for your safety organization. And then you also have the challenges. We all have seen small businesses, labor, finding the right labor is definitely a challenge we all face. Can you find this talent? These 2 questions, I think, will limit in many cases of building up an in-house team. So what's your third option? You can outsource it. So you can outsource this to a third-party safety consulting firm. The great thing about this, you're absolutely going to get the bandwidth you need. You'll absolutely get the expertise. It's flexible because you can design this agreement to be whatever you exactly need. And it's also fast. Professionals can get up and running quite quickly, and they'll know exactly what you need to do to be compliant. The drawback to this can be, like the engagement between the two organizations. You now have another organization you have to engage with. Do they know your business? Do they know the right points of contacts? It just adds a little bit of extra complexity that you have to manage. And then you have to ask yourself too, do they have the thorough business knowledge of your specific business? Chances are in most cases they will, and they'll have seen many hundreds of cases very similar to yourself. So the outsourced option is definitely a very, very good option, especially for small businesses. And lastly, maybe it's a combination of any of these. Maybe you're going to help oversee it and do some of these things yourself. Maybe you've got some support staff that's in-house, and maybe you outsource a large part of the administrative and other sort of work-heavy loads to a third party. You can certainly take the hybrid approach as well.
Thanks, Jeff. So now we've built the right team, but Nick, how are your clients training them to know how to work safely?
Well, we have clients that use 3 core ways of training their employees, whether it be on-site, which would obviously be a live interactive training, a live online training, which is, again, to be clear, a live instructor using Zoom or Teams or another agreeable video conferencing software, or a learning management system, which are becoming more and more popular in today's society, not just in safety, but in many aspects of training. So kind of looking at the pros and cons of each of those on site, you're gonna get more engagement. You can do hands-on exercises. They can be a lot more fluid, where your employees can ask questions to the live trainer. That if it's live on site, trying on PPE, having people buddy check each other, making sure that they're properly administering certain tools that are provided to them. This is best done on site and with a live instructor that can quickly make corrective actions where employees aren't necessarily getting it, and obviously interact with your employees and properly address their questions. Obviously, this can be the most expensive method of training, so it's not suitable for every company. For those that either are in low risk factor environments or just have more of a limited budget, that might not be a valuable solution for them. Live online, obviously you still get the live interaction with a instructor. This can be very engaging still, and can definitely make sure your employees understand exactly what they need to be doing and where they need to be doing it. But the live online, the downfall is you're going to get less hands-on activities, right? It's going to be more difficult to perform certain training functions, and for certain topics such as forklift training certifications, aerial lift training certifications, those require from OSHA a hands-on component. So live online is going to have some limitations in that respect, but you're still going to get a little bit cheaper of a solution where you're going to get most of the benefit of a live on-site training. And then last but not least is the learning management system. These come in a lot of shapes and sizes. Some of the people listening to this right now are probably already having LMS systems within their organization. They're fast, they're certainly usually inexpensive. Anytime, anywhere. These can be definitely utilized, say, if you're in the construction industry and your employees are waiting for a delivery. A lot of times they can log on and knock out some of the training, so you have a lot less downtime when you're using an LMS system. Each individual can kind of go through things at their own pace, which is very important because it allows everybody to learn at their own speed. And if they need to retake any topics, they're not holding up an entire class. They can do that on their own time and get from the training what they need to get out of it. One of the biggest downfalls or disadvantages of a learning management system would simply be that you can't really ask the LMS system questions. So if your employees are struggling with certain content, they're unsure of certain items that they're as they're going through this content, there's not going to be that direct live interaction from an instructor that can, again, help them with corrective action or to make sure that they properly understand the information that's being presented to them.
So we have the right organization and they've all been trained, but one person, 1 second, one decision. Your weakest link determines workplace safety success, and leaders must get everyone actively engaged.
Emily, I think you've made probably one of the most important points in this whole webinar. And as you said it, like even the perfect organization, the perfect training, none of that means anything when it comes to safety. Everybody must work safely to be successful. So where should business leaders start?
Well, they can always start with OSHA's free online consultations. And I touched on this a little bit in a previous slide, but it's important to know that this resource is available. In most states, OSHA is more than willing, and they have programs set up, usually through a local college or university, to actually visit your sites, to do a hazard analysis, do a walkthrough, help point you in the right direction. It's one of the best kept secrets in safety, is again utilizing these free resources that are available directly through OSHA.gov. Details and links are on this page. And note, these are free, confidential, and the only goal is to help you find and fix the hazards as they're presented. So this is not something that you need to be scared about OSHA then opening up citations or fines. So if you think your business has a lot of risk, don't be afraid to engage this program. It's not meant to be self-incriminating. It's really more to help businesses in their safety journeys. Also, there likely are discounts to your workman's comp premiums from your state by having a written safety program or safety committees. As previously mentioned, the state of Pennsylvania offers for safety committees. Various states do offer various discounts, and we definitely want to emphasize this as part of our presentation today, that businesses should seek out these discounts because they can heavily offset or even cover a significant portion of the cost of formulating a proper safety program.
Well, here's a picture of some familiar faces. This is a picture of our office team members after a VPP recertification audit. So Nick, can you just briefly give us kind of an overview of OSHA's voluntary protection program and how companies can see savings by having an elite safety program?
Yeah, and this is a great program for any company trying to really take their safety to the next level. This is kind of OSHA's crowning achievement when it comes to safety and health excellence within the United States. This program is often dominated by large multinational corporations, but many smaller businesses are able to qualify for this as well. And it gives you great insight into OSHA because part of this program is you're going to open up your doors to OSHA. They're going to do a multi-day audit at your facility, and they're not looking for individual hazards necessarily, but the safety culture. Do you have the core pillars in place? And if you're not sure of those, we definitely recommend checking out OSHA's website, or we do have webinars available specifically on this program. But it's going to be a great way for you to engage with OSHA and help really take your safety to that next level. While they're out on site, they're going to be interviewing your employees. They're going to be going through your programs. They're going to be overviewing your trainings. And this is going to be a great place to showcase the safety efforts that your business has put forward. And it's also going to be a great way for you as an organization to get your employees registered as special government employees and get to go out with OSHA and help them conduct these types of audits all across the country throughout just about every industry. So you get to cherry pick the best ideas in the country from the best safety programs in the country and be able to implement those into your own program. OSHA, through this program, heavily advises companies that are participating to share ideas and to help each other to improve their safety program.
So to close it out, we have covered a lot of material, but I want to summarize a very easy framework to remember how to maximize your safety investments. It's called our BOSS framework, and there's just 3 simple steps. So make sure you have the right budget, build the right organization, and get and maintain stakeholder support. We believe when you have the right budgets with the right team and everyone is aligned, your investments in safety will prevent accidents, boost morale, and make your company even more productive. So Nick, what should a small business do next?
It's simple. Anything that makes you safer. Just start, don't wait, don't hesitate, kind of dive into safety. These things could be, start your safety committee, start your written programs, start your hazard assessments. A lot of the things that we covered today are important, and you should begin immediately. So that would be my recommendation to any company looking to advance their safety program is don't wait for the perfect scenario or perfect timing or perfect, things never are perfect. So, start making small incremental progress today.
Well, thank you so much, Jeff and Nick, for these great tips to maximize safety on a small business budget. There are plenty of resources here that you can leverage yourself with your team. But if you find that you don't have the time or perhaps the expertise, or as Nick mentioned, there's no perfect time, we'd welcome a discussion about your unique safety fingerprint and how Lancaster Safety can empower your business to stay safe and OSHA compliant. So thank you everyone so much for your time today, and don't forget to sign up for our next month's webinar.